Good morning. We're just going to get started in a comfortable seated position on your mat. If you'd like to do what I did, take a block, place it in between your ankles, and then take your seat there. Going to have the opportunity to get upside down a little bit today if you'd like it. So if you do want to be close to a wall, that might be a nice opportunity to just give you a little bit of added support. Otherwise, you don't have to go upside down. We'll just kind of build on that idea throughout the course of the class, and then that'll be our goal at the end. But wherever you decide to go, find your hands just resting onto your thighs, sitting up nice and tall. And even here at the beginning, I want you to start to notice what's happening in the middle section of your body. So we're trying to reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, and the sit bones are just going to be rooted down either onto a block or onto the ground. And I want you to notice the sensation around your rib cage. So a lot of times we find this arch in our lower back, and we stick our tailbone out, and our rib cage tends to flare out forward towards the front of the room. I want you to really try to knit those low ribs in. So maybe even bring your hands onto either side of your rib cage and think about bringing those bottom ribs closer towards your middle line. You may start to notice that this kind of creates just this tiny lift of your pubic bone and your tailbone tucking under just the tiniest bit. It's totally okay. It's going to help you find the engagement in your core. And you'll notice how often you want to start and let this go. But I want you to hold on to it as much as you can. I'll give you opportunities to release it as we go, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities to check in with this. So take a moment to find that now. If you'd like to bring a little bit more engagement into the legs, you can start to squeeze the heels either in towards one another or in towards your block. And as always, just taking a few moments here at the beginning of class to come into your own breath. Always working to find a little bit more space with your breath. So when you get to your inhale, and you feel like you're all the way to the top, see if you can take one additional sip of air in. And same thing as you release the air and you get all the way to the bottom of your exhale, see if there's room to exhale just a little bit more. Stay for 2 more rounds of breath. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Reach for another block if you have it. If not, just take the one from underneath your seat and maybe either find that comfortable seat onto your shins or just onto your mat all the way. We're going to bring the block in between the hands, giving us something to hold on to. You're going to extend the arms all the way out. So even here, notice how much additional energy this takes and what you need to do to continue to keep those low ribs knitting in towards your center line. Continue to reach out through the crown, find activation in the legs, and have your hands active. So we're trying to press the block together. Start to take it up a little bit higher. Notice the higher your arms are, the more we want to create this arch in the lower back. So really fight against that. Continue to take the arms higher and higher. Maybe all the way up overhead, and notice how much work you now have to use to really keep those leg ribs in. And release all the way back down. And we'll just come through 3 rounds of nice gentle movement. Inhale, the arms come all the way up. Exhale, release. Breathe in all the way overhead. Breathe out, release. Again, low ribs in towards center line. One more, overhead. Exhale. Take the block into that right hand, extend the left arm all the way up overhead. Just take a nice side body stretch. Try and keep that left hip rooted down into the mat. Let's get a little bit longer through those left fingertips. Maybe even think about reaching through your ring finger on your left hand. Release, coming up through center. We'll switch sides. The block comes into the left hand. Sweep that right arm overhead. And take your side body stretch. Again, reaching through the ring finger on the right hand and keeping the right hip rooted into the mat. Release. Bring the block back into your hands. This time we're going to take a bend in those elbows. So this might feel a little bit lighter in the arms, which might be a nice release, but it's still that activation in the core that we're looking for. Take an inhale. And an exhale. Now I want you to think of your elbow points being your movement here. And we're going to take those elbow points as high up towards the ceiling as you can. And exhale, release. And you can bring them all the way back down to your sides, giving yourself this full range of motion. And with your breath in all the way overhead. Exhale all the way lower. Now, if you have really tight shoulders, you may notice that your stopping point is shorter and your elbows are just slightly above where we started. Totally okay. Continue to squeeze into the block and try to keep your elbows parallel towards one another. So when we get the arms overhead, we really don't want those elbows to splay out. It's going to be a very normal desire. So really squeeze the hands into the block, squeeze the elbows in towards center, keep the rib cage knitting in. And release. Set the block off to the side. We'll take one simple twist. That right hand's going to come behind your head. That left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. We sit up nice and tall with the breath in, and exhale, take your twist. 2 more, breathe in. And open up. 1 more inhale. And exhale, twist. Come back in through center, switching sides. Left hand comes behind the head, outside of right hand to the left thigh. Take a breath in, get a little bit taller. Exhale, find your twist. Inhale. Opening up. 1 more. And release. Release both hands. Come off of that other block if you have it. Find your tabletop position. Just move around for a few moments. Maybe a few rounds of cat-cow. Maybe rolling out through the head. you're ready, planting your hands onto the mat, tucking your toes, lifting your hips up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling out the feet, continuing some movement here. Shaking out the head, opening up the mouth. We'll just get into some gentle sun A's here just to warm up the body. We'll start to tiptoe the feet all the way up to the hands at the top of your mat. Gently release the heels down. Slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time all the way to your mountain pose. Extend through the fingertips, lift up through the crown, and again, even notice here, maybe there's this desire to arch the back. Lengthen the tailbone down. Knit the ribs in together, extend the arms down by your sides. Take a breath in and a breath out. And breathe in, arms all the way up. Exhale, maybe this first time, release your hands through heart center to the mat. Inhale, take a halfway lift of your heart. Exhale, place your hands, step it back. Balasana, plank pose. We're going to hold this for 2. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Reach through the crown and the heels. One more inhale. And as you exhale, lower your knees. And then release yourself all the way down to the mat. Hands on either side of your rib cage. Active energy through the tops of the feet. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Breathe in, Bhujangasana. Find your cobra pose. And exhale, release. We'll take 2 more here. Breathe in, lift your heart. Exhale, lower. One more, inhale. Exhale, release. Hands on either side, press your hips back over your heels. Maybe you stay for a moment in your child's pose. Maybe you rock from side to side or take some side body stretches. Maybe even threading the needle would feel good here for you this morning. Take as much or as little time as you need here. And then whenever you're ready, meeting me back in downward facing dog. Full breath in. And full breath out. We'll take one more round nice and slow. Again, walking the feet all the way to the top of the hands. Plant the heels. Slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. Tadasana, mountain pose. Full inhale. And full exhale. Breathe in, arms overhead. Exhale, all the way to the mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back, Balasana, plank pose. Reach to the crown, extend to the heels, breath in. And breath out. Inhale, shoulders forward or knees down. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra pose. Press into the tops of the feet, shoulders away from your ears. Draw your chest forward, active legs. Exhale, downward facing dog. Two breaths here. One more inhale. And one more exhale. And breathe in, rise high onto the toes. Bend the knees. Exhale to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale, root through the feet, arms all the way overhead. Exhale, mountain pose. Breathe in, overhead. Exhale to your mat. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back, Balasana, one full breath. Take an inhale. And an exhale. Inhale, shoulders forward or knees down. Exhale, lower halfway. Breathe in, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, tailbone to the sky. Full round of breath in and out. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Breathe in, rise high. Bend your knees. Exhale to the front. Inhale, take it halfway. Exhale, release. Root down through the feet, arms overhead. Exhale, mountain pose. Again, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, halfway. Plant the hands, step it back. Phalakasana, full inhale. And full exhale. Breathe in, shoulders forward. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, tailbone to the sky. Downward facing dog. 2, breathe in. Use these breaths to create more heat. Inhale, rise. Exhale to the front. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, release. Root down, arms overhead. Exhale, mountain pose. 2 more rounds. Inhale. And release. Breathe in. Phalakasana pose. 1 breath in. 1 breath out. Inhale, shoulders forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. 2. 1. Inhale, rise. Exhale to the front. Inhale, halfway. Exhale. Breathe in. Tadasana, mountain pose. Last round, inhale. And exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1 full round, inhale. And exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Breath in. And breath out. Stay for 3. Inhale, extend that right leg back behind you. Keep your toes flexed towards your face. Have a nice gentle bend in this left knee and press firmly through your hands. Act as if you're trying to stomp your right foot onto the wall behind you. As active in that foot and toes as you can get. 1 more inhale. And as you exhale, step that right foot to your right thumb. Release the back knee down, untuck the toes, and find yourself in your low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Actively scissor the legs together. Press into the right foot. And you're acting as if you're going to draw your right heel back in space and your left knee forward. So they're not actually going to move. That's the action you'll find in your legs. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Maybe grabbing one of those blocks, placing it onto your right side, taking this side body stretch as we reach that left arm up and over. Continue to scissor and actively squeeze the legs. But find length reaching through the pointer finger on that left side. Take an inhale and an exhale. Release, coming back up through center. Hands come on either side of that back foot. We lift up to our pyramid pose. Maybe grab both of your blocks here. Hands can go on either side. Take a halfway lift of your heart. Maybe come onto the ball of your back foot. And then as you exhale, start to fold forward over that front right leg. You can have a nice gentle bend in that right knee here. And the deeper you bend that leg, the more of a connection between your belly and your thigh that you will feel. And just let the head release, no tension in the neck. And start to reach through that back leg. Take a breath in and a breath out. If you have your hands on your blocks, go ahead and push them down onto their lower level. Our hands are going to come to the tops of the blocks. On your halfway lift, you're going to press so much firm into your hands that you find the ability to lift and float that right foot, extend that right leg up and back behind you. Plant the right foot down onto the mat. Set those blocks just a tiny bit off to the side. We're going to continue to use them. And switch sides. Inhale, that left leg reaches back. Get a nice gentle bend in that right knee. As active in those left legs as you can get. Flexing through the foot. Hands pressing into the mat. Take a breath in. And a breath out. One more inhale for a little bit more length. And then exhale, draw that left foot to the left thumb. Back knee releases down. Sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana, find your low lunge. Active into the legs. Again, thinking about drawing that left heel back in space as that right knee would essentially work forward. You're not going to move, but that's the energy you're looking for. Find a little bit more length through the front of the right hip. Bringing the hand onto the top of that block off to your side if you would like it, sweeping that right arm all the way up and over. Remember to stay active through the legs. Take an inhale and an exhale. Release the hands, grabbing onto the blocks on either side. You can have them on your highest setting. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Draw your heart forward. And then fall forward over that left thigh. Reaching down through the heel on the back foot. The head just falls heavy. No tension in the neck. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Take the blocks onto their lowest setting. Hands come on top. Think halfway lift of your heart. Press into the blocks firmly. So much so that you find some lightness in that left leg, and then extend that left heel up and back. Plant the foot onto the mat, find your downward facing dog. Full breath in, and a full breath out. Inhale, rise high onto your toes, bend your knees. Exhale to the top of your mat. Inhale, take it halfway, and exhale, release. Root down through your feet, sweep your arms up overhead. We're going to find our Utkatasana chair pose, sinking low into the heels. And we're going to take this all the way to the mat. So think about really drawing your belly in towards your spine and sinking your hip bones low. You can start to reach your hands forward. Maybe even for a moment, find the balls of your feet. Squeeze your thighs in towards one another. Reach the hands forward. Maybe sink the hips a little bit lower. Gently release the heels and slowly lower the hips all the way to the ground. Finding our low boat. You can always take a bend in your knees. You can have your hands by your sides. You can have your hands onto the backs of the legs or extending everything out towards the front. Squeeze through the thighs. And now again, think of these low ribs knitting in towards your center line. Take an inhale. And an exhale, we stay for 2, breathe in. And breathe out, we've got one more inhale. And one more exhale, draw the knees into the chest, cross at the ankles, plant the hands, step it back, vinyasa through, or straight to down dog. Take a full breath in. And a breath out. Extend that right leg up behind you And then exhale, step that right foot to your right thumb. Grab that block, one of the blocks on your way up as you sweep your hands overhead or at your heart center to your high lunge. Same idea that we had at the beginning. Your palms are going to be pressing firmly into the block. Extend your hands out in front of you. Continue to scissor the legs together like they were in your low lunge. Continue to draw the low ribs in towards your center line. We're going to find this same arm action that we did at the very beginning. So as you inhale, your arms come up overhead. And exhale, you release. We take 2 more. Breathe in, lift. And breathe out. Notice still the desire to maybe create an arch in your low back and flare your rib cage. Keep everything drawing in. And exhale. Finding your pyramid pose, hands on either side, maybe onto that highest setting, or maybe you think ahead and place them on the lowest setting, halfway lift of your heart. And exhale, fall forward. Create a gentle bend in that front knee. Create the connection between your belly and your thigh. Press into the hands, think halfway lift. Press into the block so much so you find lightness in the right thigh. Lift the right foot up and back. Release, downward facing dog. Hands come onto the mat. Full breath in. And full breath out. Inhale, left leg reaches high. Exhale, shift the left foot to the left thumb. Grab your block on the way up. Active high lunge. Hands start at heart center, pressing the firm into the center of the block. Extend the arms out in front of you. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Inhale, arms all the way overhead. Continue to draw the low ribs in. And exhale, release. 2 more, inhale. And exhale. 1 more round of breath in. And 1 more round of breath out. Hands onto the blocks, either setting. Inhale, think halfway lift of your heart. And exhale, fall forward. Press into the blocks, think halfway lift. So much activation. Press. Send that left foot up and back. Release. And downward facing dog. Take an inhale. And an exhale. Inhale, rise high onto your toes. Bend your knees. Exhale to the top. Inhale, halfway. And exhale. Root down through the feet. Sweep the arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Sink low into the hips. Maybe the hands come forward. Maybe you find the balls of your feet. Squeeze the thighs. Sink the hips a little bit lower. Release the heels. Release the hips. Find your low boat pose. Take an inhale. And an exhale. If you'd like to create this even stronger sensation, the arms come up overhead. Act as if maybe you're squeezing that block together between your hands. Reach through your toes. Draw your belly into your center line. And release. Cross at the ankles. Plant the hands. Step it back. Vinyasa through or straight to down dog. Full round of breath in. And round of breath out. Right leg reaches high. Exhale, step it forward, right foot to right thumb. Grab that block, sweep the arms up. And this time we're going to find these bent arm variation. So maybe you start elbows down by your sides, pressing firmly into the block, crown of the head reaching high, scissoring of the legs. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Now use your elbow points as your line as you draw. Squeeze the elbows in the whole way. Maybe take that block behind your head. See if you can press the back of the head into the block. Squeeze the elbows towards one another. Act as if you're trying to get your elbow points out towards the ceiling. Maybe create a little bit more of a back bend. Take 1 more inhale. And 1 more exhale. Release the arms back behind you. Release all the way down. Elbows come into your sides. We take that in more of a flow, 3 rounds through. Extend, take the elbows all the way up. Block comes behind the head. Open your chest. Extend the arms. Release down. Elbows bent. Lift, arms up. Block behind your head. Take your gaze up. Release the block. Release the arms. Elbows in. One more. Lift. Hands come down to the blocks. Find your pyramid pose. Falling forward over that front right leg. As deep of a bend in that right front leg as you need. And we'll find the same halfway lift of our heart. Finding this float of this right leg. And then if you want, we'll take a few rotations here. So you're going to press into those hands so much so. Think cat back. Press. Suck that right thigh bone into its socket, lift. Extend that right leg up and back. Now keep it lifted, keep pressing hands into the blocks. And then as you exhale, draw that left or that right foot forward again. See if you can float. Breathe. We'll do 3 rounds. So almost trying to just put that right foot right back where it was without it touching the ground. One more. Right foot up and back. Release. Downward facing dog in a moment to just shake it out. Inhale, left leg kicks up and back. Exhale, step that left foot to your left thumb. Grabbing that block. Active legs right from the very start. So we're putting a lot of thought and energy into the arms, but the lower body should be working just as much. So we've still got this scissoring action of the legs. And even here, although it seems like I'm probably not doing much, my arms are pressing so much into this activation already. So we'll take this nice and slow this first round through. We start to lift through the elbows. Take those all the way up to the ceiling. Allow the head to sit back. Maybe a little bit of a deeper back bend. Extend the arms out. Release the arms. Elbows bend in by your sides. 3 rounds, nice and slow. All the way up. Release the head. Extend the arms. Release. Breathe in. Extend. And release. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in. And breathe out. Last round through. Inhale. Release. Lengthen. Back to your starting point. Hands onto those low setting. Halfway lift of your heart. Fold forward. Now we find this strength and this engagement. Press down into the hands. Think cat back. Think lift left thigh bone into socket. Press the ground away. Left leg goes high. Draw forward. Keep that left leg floating the whole time. Inhale up and back. Exhale 2 more. Breathe in. 1 more. And lift. Set the feet. Release the blocks. Inhale, rise high onto your toes. Bend your knees. Exhale to the front. Inhale halfway. And exhale. Root down through the feet. Sweep the arms all the way overhead. Exhale, find mountain pose. So if you have your blocks, we're going to set something up onto our mat to again help with that hollow body shape. So you're going to take one of your blocks towards the front. This is going to be underneath kind of the back of your calves or your low ankle area. And then this is going to be, the second block is going to be underneath your shoulder blades. So we might need to move those around once we get there. And then we'll find our chair pose here though. Sit all the way down, we'll add that core engagement in. So sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, sink Utkatasana. Get the hips really low. Maybe reach the arms forward, find that counterbalance, maybe rise high into the balls of your feet. Squeeze your legs together. Sink your hips a little bit lower. Another inhale. Another exhale, we set the heels, release the hips all the way down. So we're setting ourselves up. Like I said, this first block is going to come underneath your calves or your low ankles, and this second block is going to come underneath your shoulder blades. You'll notice when you first lay back, your butt is grounded, your other points are lifted. Now, notice what's happening in your rib cage. You're sort of naturally splaying your ribs open. I want you to find that same engagement. Engage your core, lengthen your tailbone down, and lift your butt off of the ground. Squeeze. Take an inhale. And an exhale. Stay for 2. One more breath in. One more breath out. Release. If it's comfortable for you to take sort of a supported fish variation here, you can go ahead and take that, just this opening through the front of the body. We're going to come into that 2 more times. Just giving yourself an opportunity to let go of that engagement so it can be this much stronger the next time through. One more breath in. And one more breath out. Draw the engagement in. Tuck the tailbone, lengthen it down towards the front of the room. Draw the chin up. Lift. 3 breaths. Release the hips. If it feels good, you can interlace the hands behind the head and give them a little bit of support. And if you feel like you need to make any adjustments with where the blocks are, it's not a specific location. It's going to be what feels best in your body. So don't be afraid to wiggle around a little bit and find that perfect spacing that allows you to feel the strongest that you can in this posture. You take one more inhale. And one more exhale. Lifting the head, neck, and shoulders, engaging through the core. Lift. If you'd like to add a little bit more to this, you can act as if the arms are just that additional lever. So as you inhale, maybe the arms come all the way overhead. Exhale, release down by your sides. Breathe in, lengthen. And breathe out, release. Notice as your arms come up overhead if it makes you want to drop your butt. Breathe in. And breathe out. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more breath in. And 1 more breath out. Release the hips. One last time, release the head back if that feels good. If not, you can roll yourself off to your side. Remove that block underneath your shoulders. Release the block underneath your feet. Cross at the ankles, step it back. And we're going to find our tabletop posture. We're going to bring a block in between our hands. And then we're going to lower down to forearms. So I want you to take the block the same way you have been, with your hands into the sides. Elbows are going to be in line. So if your shoulders are a little bit wider and you feel like you need a bigger base, you can always add the block in maybe on its highest setting if that's better for you. That is too wide for my shoulders, so I'm going to stick with 1. But know that that can be modified.
And it's okay if your elbows, I want your elbows to be right underneath your shoulders. So what we don't want to happen is we don't want our arms to be out like this. So we want to be able to stack elbows underneath our shoulders. It's going to give us the strongest, most stable base. This block is really just giving us something to grip into. And I want you to think of your cat pose. So find your cat back, press into the ground as much as you can. You can just let your head fall heavy. And draw those low ribs in as you hollow out your body. And release. Maybe find a modified cow pose. And find that again. Press into the ground, lift. And release. I'll take this one more time, and as we do this, if you would like more, tuck your toes and lift your hips, find your dolphin pose. So press into the ground, think cat back. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, dolphin pose. Your head's just falling heavy. Pressing your hands into the block. Maybe a nice gentle bend in the knees. Continue to draw your belly button in towards your spine. Press into your entire forearm the same way that you do when you're in your downward facing dog, how you try to press up and back. Stay for 2 more. Take a nice gentle bend in the knees. Release, sink it back. Maybe a big shoulder roll forward and back. If you like to have the block there, to have something to press into, keep it there. If you want to try a different variation with your arms, bring your palms together as if you're just kind of hands at heart center. And we're going to take those hands down to the mat. So you're going to be pressing firmly into your hands the same way that you did into the block. And your elbow points are still going to be underneath your shoulders. That does not change. Just gives a little bit of a different variation. I find a little bit more flexibility in my shoulders when my hands are at center. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, think cat back, hips up and back, dolphin pose. Continue to press into the hands. So really use a lot of energy there. Elbows continue to stay underneath your shoulders, in line with your shoulders. They don't have to be underneath your shoulders. So if you're more pitched forward, this is a ton of additional weight in the arms. If you allow your shoulders to press back, drop your head, now you're thinking more of that downward facing dog action in the arms, but the shoulders and the elbows are still in line. Not stacked, but your elbows aren't out wider than your shoulders. We continue to stay lifted. Take one more breath in. And one more breath out. Release the knees, untuck the toes, gently sitting up. And roll in the shoulders, one direction, and then the other. I'm going to change my cam angle here a little bit to give you the ability to see my wall. So if you do want to take yourself upside down, find your wall. So we're going to find that same setup with our hands. You can either have your palms together or take the block, whatever feels more comfortable to you. I like to have myself a few inches away from the wall just to give myself enough room for my legs to go a little over past my head. But honestly, just a few inches away from the wall, that's all you need. And we're just gonna play around with lifting one leg, maybe taking some slight hops. So if you don't want to go upside down, no worries. This will just help give you the foundation and the base to get there. So we're gonna bring hands together or block in between palms. Press into the ground, find your cat back, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Find your dolphin pose. So here we're going to take our three-legged dolphin. So we're going to take a nice gentle bend in that left leg first and extend that right leg up towards the ceiling. This is no different than your three-legged dog. I want you to be as strong in the upper body as you can, pressing the ground away. And I want you to think about keeping this left knee in towards your chest. If you'd like to take some little hops, I still want you to think left knee into your chest. So we're going to extend through the right toes, left knee into chest. Extend through the right toes, left knee into chest. If you hit the wall, it's there to catch you. Left knee into chest. Left foot down. So that left leg never needs to go any higher. That left knee into your chest helps you keep that hollow body shape. It also keeps a limb close to the floor. So when we think about how to find that hollow body shape, that left knee drawing into our chest is going to keep that automatically. So all of this activation, left thigh to belly, keeps that there for us. This leg can reach up. We can be super strong through those toes, but this is going to help keep us stable. You're not going to splay open and lose your hollow body and engagement in your core if that leg is pulled firm into the body. We'll try the other side. So same thing. Either palms together or block in between the hands. Get close to the mat or close to the wall, maybe, 6 to 8 inches away. If you'd like to be closer, you certainly can. It actually freaks me out to be too close to the wall because I feel like my head's gonna hit the wall. So you find a position that makes the most sense for you. Press into the shoulder, press into the arms, think cat back. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, dolphin pose. And then we switch. That left leg goes up. And we reach through those left toes a ton. And maybe you just stay here. And you just find these tiny, tiny little hops. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, that right knee stays bent. All you have to do is kick that right heel to your right glute. Continue to squeeze. Continue to press into the hands. Continue to send the forearms towards the ground. That right knee into your chest is going to prevent you from splaying out through your body, releasing the strength in your core. And whenever you're ready, that right leg releases back onto the mat. Find your dolphin. Release.
Roll out through the shoulders, one direction and then the other. If you'd like to play around with it, we can take one more. As you're doing that, I'm going to bring my camera back to center. So the nice thing about finding that engagement, finding that lift, and drawing the thigh into the belly is that you're not going to have the opportunity to have this big extravagant fall. Everything drawing in towards center. So the name of the game is trying to get all of the muscle groups to work together. I'll take one more round. I'm going to take mine here in the middle of my mat. I'm not even necessarily going to lift all the way up. I just want you to find that encouragement and that confidence to find your three-legged dolphin in the center of your mat. So again, we'll take one more. Take your favorite leg. Think of your cat back. Press the ground away. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips. My favorite leg is my right leg starting up. And again, maybe you just take these little bounces. But that left leg heavy onto the ground is not going to allow you to fall.
Continue to breathe. Continue to find that engagement, drawing your belly button in towards your spine, knitting your low ribs together. The other leg never has to lift. Stay for one more breath in. And exhale, lower down. Lifting up onto your shins one more time, big shoulder rolls, one direction and then the other. Find your child's pose. This time keeping your knees more in line because we're going to work our way into a puppy pose. So start to walk your fingertips forward towards the front of your mat. Allow your chin to come down to the ground. Maybe you start with your forehead. If you've got more space and no sensation, maybe you take your chin to the ground. Maybe you walk your fingertips out a few more inches, maybe even grab onto the top of your mat. There should be no negative sensation. There really shouldn't be any sensation, period, in your shoulders or your neck. So if you're feeling anything negative, back out. If you feel like you've got more space, continue working your chest down to the mat. Maybe come out of that, slither forward. Find your Sphinx pose. Draw your elbows towards your belly as you reach your chest towards the front of the room. Press into the tops of the feet. Legs are so active, maybe kneecaps and shins are lifted. We're going to release all the way down. Extend that right arm straight out to the side, or maybe that 90-degree bend. Gaze over to the left and step that left leg over top. The right side of the head just falls heavy into the mat. Release, coming through center and switching sides. Release, come back in through center. Again, hands underneath, taking another Sphinx pose. One more stretch for the shoulders here. We're going to take the right arm over top of the left. So this left arm is going to thread underneath your right, and this right arm is going to stay on top. You can bring the backs of the hands to the mat, and you're just kind of tying yourself here in a knot as you release. So feel free to kind of wiggle around. If you would like, you can bring a block underneath your forehead and just allow that to rest. This feels best in my body with palms facing up. The legs can just be released and heavy. Now gently lift the head. Just start to untie yourself just a little bit at a time. Maybe coming back through Sphinx at center, drawing your chest forward. And then switching sides. So that right arm is going to thread underneath the left arm will be on top. And again, it's just these tiny little inching movements, and then maybe resting your forehead onto a block or a pillow. And gently release. One more time in that Sphinx pose. Active legs, active arms. And then release all the way down to the ground. Rolling over onto our backs. Bring your knees into your chest, give them a squeeze. Maybe rock from side to side. If you'd like a happy baby, Ananda Balasana, grab onto the outsides of your feet. Elbows come onto the insides of your knees. Lengthen through the spine. You can keep yourself at center or rock from side to side. And so with that forearm stand, offer no judgments or frustrations to yourself. I have been practicing that for a very long time. I did not used to fall gracefully like that. I did not used to be able to lift up floating kind of in a way like that. It has taken me years and years to be able to find that sort of progression. So there's no goal there though. There's no starting point. There's no ending point. You are where you are. And even now that I can do that, I still am always looking for ways to progress, different things to be able to do. You release the feet, extend the arms and legs up, roll out at the ankles and wrists. And so just knowing that the end goal isn't really just to lift up, you know, the end goal isn't to just have both legs straight. The end goal can constantly evolve. And so it's really important not to get caught up with, I want to be at this next piece, or I need to do this next part. And just allow it to build up in your body. Allow that strength, allow the development in the shoulders. The ability to just stand in three-legged dolphin is hard. That is not an easy posture. Finding lightness in those bottom toes is not easy. So just giving yourself a little bit of forgiveness and just allowing yourself to be where you are in your journey and just putting in the effort to get to feel more confident where you are right now. Release the knees back into the chest. Give them one more squeeze. Open the arms to a T. Keep the right or the left knee into the chest. Extend the right leg long. And then allow that left leg to just fall over to the side, taking a nice gentle supine twist. Coming back through center. Right knee into your chest, left leg long, right knee over the top. Last time, both knees into center. One final squeeze before releasing all the way out onto your mat, into your final resting pose. No matter where you are, always taking that moment of gratitude for your mind and your body, remembering that every day is a gift.